Great, thanks. I forgot the product pitch deck, so I'm gonna do a little bit more of a bit of a theory thing and talk about maybe why you should care about the cloud as a practitioner if you're not a gearhead like all of us. So I just wanted to start with just a bit of a thought about how collaboration is changing the contractual and the relationship among parties on a project. This is kind of a similar, arrows and routing diagram, but suffice it to say the point is that we're still living in a very disconnected world where people collaborate by, through the exchange of files. They might put them on a cloud sharing system. They might put them on an FTP site. They might still even send them in the mail. And we're working across multiple different technologies. So some people work in Revit and others are in Rhino, and downstream there's tons of other technologies that are relevant. And I think the point that I wanted to make here is that this is all still happening in the context of a very discrete process, right? So we're still kind of trying to orchestrate our projects through contractual and process organization that's still very discrete. I put something on a system, you take it down, there's some sort of contractual agreement about why you're doing that and how you're doing that. And the future that I think all of these technologies talk about is a very different world where things are continuously connected, not just between different collaborators on a project, but even out to the site, even out to potentially equipment, potentially the end product where there's embedded technologies in this room that somehow are part of that sort of integrated process. And the cloud is now allowing all that stuff to connect together in a way that I think fundamentally impacts this very discrete sort of contractual process that we all kind of grew up around. So I think that's the really interesting kind of bigger picture behind all of this, is that the contractual and organizational process around projects is going to change. And new technologies are changing, are making that change happen. They're the same technologies that lots of people are familiar with now on your on your mobile devices, Facebook and YouTube and all those things. We're just using them in a project context. So that's really where, where we've come from. Gehry Technologies, there was a little reference to us during the keynote. It's great to see the Baha'i temple after so many years. But we recently got acquired by Trimble for the purposes of really establishing these contractual, organizational process and technology ways of connecting things. And the technology that we developed is now part of the Trimble portfolio, Trimble Connect. You can go take a look and sign up online if you're interested. But the vision is that it really connects not just different collaborators, but all the way, if you look at the Trimble set of portfolios, even down to things like robotic bulldozers or devices which can capture the positions in rooms, things like that. There's a huge spectrum of data and a huge spectrum of technologies, not just in the Trimble portfolio, but across the, across the entire project, including many of the technologies of our collaborators here. So starting to run out of time. This is kind of the product view. Very simple, very easy to use. There's files, there's viewers, there's activities, so you can see and trace what happened over time. There's, of course, viewers like, a 3D viewer for BIM, for drawings, etc. There's activity, tasks, who needs to do what, and it's all kind of wrapped up in this very simple project-based idea of, you basically have this social environment of the project. It has permissions, it has things you can see, it has things you can interact with. So it's very familiar at this point for people, again, who are using Facebook and those sort of technologies. But there's a bigger picture behind this, and in the last 55 seconds, I want to make that point. On a project, you're not going to, I think the difference that I would characterize between where we see the future and where some of these other presentations at least point to is there won't be a single project hub. There'll be many project hubs. You'll have some on a given project, at least 3 or 4 of these technologies and vendors will be together. Somehow this stuff has to all connect together. And the view of Trimble Connect is very much about openness and these very flexible ways of connecting across products. In the 6 months since we got acquired, Trimble Connect has connected all of Trimble technologies. We've connected it to other things like barcode scanning technologies for specific projects. We've connected it to a whole lot of other things, 4D modeling, facilities management, different file sharing systems like Box, and even social media like Facebook, so you can put your model up there. So that's really the future that we see as a very open, connected world. We'd like to position ourselves as being a part of that community of connected technologies. We think that speaks very much about the future of how projects are going to work between collaborators and really out into the built world. Love to talk to you more about it. I'm 22 seconds late. Thank you.